watched people literally be murdered in the streets, families be torn apart, people are being put to death camps. The world is suffering, Americans are suffering, and people are still gung-ho on it because some orange idiot in the Oval Office gives them permission to be bigots.
6-3 decision by the Supreme Court, which basically granted federal agents the power to stop people in Los Angeles simply for speaking Spanish or appearing to be Latino.
Obviously, violence is not the answer. We have come to a point where violence is, in many ways, how a lot of people feel that they can react.
It's a dark time in American history. We are witnessing the unraveling of, I think, democracy and just compassion and empathy.
How old am I going to be when things are normal again or a little bit better?
I don't want to say there's going to be civil war, but I also look at how realistically the temperature is pretty hot right now.
Hello, my salubrious snakes. My name is Ansley, and this is the Boredwalk podcast, and I'm joined by my coworkers, Tess and Gabe. We'll talk about what's happening in the States, and that is that everyone is going to become a soy vegan. Why is that, you may ask? Well, Arkansas, we are bankrupt. The farmers are bankrupt. They have an overproduction of soybeans that usually go to China or go to USAID. And since, there's a trade war, since we don't have USAID really anymore, we just have too many soybeans and no one to buy them and nowhere for them to go. So I would really encourage all Americans. Now is a really good time to get into soy loaf bread.
I mean, we also have a lot of homeless people in this country. We could feed them.
We could do that. Will they? No. So anyway, Arkansas is suffering from the consequences of their own actions. Shocker, but they are sending thoughts and prayers. So we will continue to do that since that is really the only thing that works. And then in Georgia recently, there was an ice bust. South Korea was kind enough to send over almost 8,000 jobs, factory jobs from LG and Hyundai. And then, MAGA politician Tory Branham decided to call it in. There's 400-something arrests of South Korean citizens, and now South Korea is mad. And they're like, well, we're not sending our people and we're not sending our jobs. So very interesting for the country that complains about not having jobs, about, making stuff on American soil to then literally shoot themselves in the foot. So now we are losing out on 8,000 jobs. There will be no productions. There will be no employment. And, of course, relations with foreign governments are just even more strained than they could have been. Mm-hmm. So we're in a really good spot.
So that's happening. We've also decided that racial profiling is totally chill.
Totally cool.
You look a certain way, you speak a certain language, or sound a certain way, you're busted.
You can be detained.
Yep. 6-3 decision by the Supreme Court, which basically granted federal agents the power to stop people in Los Angeles simply for speaking Spanish or appearing to be Latino.
Is it just Los Angeles, or is this
it's
entire?
the country, but Los Angeles was the court.
Yeah, listed
the reason the case they saw the case.
So now there's precedent,
yeah,
and that can be translated to any other city or state that Donald Trump decides to send in National Guard and ICE to arrest people.
So it lifted restrictions on roving immigration patrol.
Yeah.
So because before it was you have to have, probable cause to take someone. But probable cause is now just you look like you are an immigrant or you
look
are speaking
bilingual.
Spanish
You'll
or whatever.
And this is obviously because citizens or people who are said or allowed to be here legally were detained in certain ways, and you're like, hey, that's not right. You can't do that.
And then they're passing laws to be like, actually, we can.
Yeah. Actually, it's fine. So
I wish this was one of those things that we actually had some sort of feedback or advice or anything to do, but I have seen chilling images of a car where a guy was obviously detained by ICE and taken, and on the ground is the red rights index card that people would keep in their pockets, be like, no, these are my rights, and there's they're on the floor. They're not even. It's not even being listened to. It's bounty hunting. It's face coverings. I mean, it's a dark time in American history. We are witnessing the unraveling of, I think, democracy and just compassion and empathy.
This is a procedural win. They did not argue on the merits of the case. So basically, temporarily, the Supreme Court has been this is fine to do. And so now they will probably have to go to arguing on the merits of the case. And when that happens, hopefully we decide that you can't do this.
We'll see.
Hopefully.
We know it's certainly not going to affect any white Americans. They're certainly not going to detain any Swedes, Canadians.
They're really trying to isolate the country,
they're
like
doing
really, and have been successful.
Yeah, I'm like genuinely concerned because even if Trump were to die or get assassinated or whatever, like we have just undone American like I don't think there's coming back from this. I don't think economically we can come back from this. I don't think humanitarian.
It's gonna be a really, really rough time.
Yeah, it is. And like I was listening to this girl talk about how the left can't argue anymore because we've reached a point where we're like, we think we win because we just won't engage because we know that you're immoral and wrong. But it's like we've like reached a point, like how do we ever get back on the same page again? Because we watched people like literally be murdered in the streets, families be torn apart, people are being put to death camps. Like the world is suffering, Americans are suffering, and people are still gung-ho on it because some orange idiot in the Orville office gives them permission to be bigots.
Yeah.
We can't come back from that. I don't know how to. You're right. It's going to take a lot of work and probably more work than we'll see in our lifetimes, honestly.
Yeah, it's pretty to like, I don't know, look at all of this and be like, okay, how old am I going to be when things are, normal again or a little bit better? And it's like really kind of sad. Like I feel bad for everybody in this country, obviously, but like, I don't know. It sucks to be like, oh, I'm going to spend, my 20s, 30s, 40s, like
paying
what? I'm going to be in my
decisions.
am I going to be like in my 50s when things are finally better? I guess YOLO, what a fun 50s going to be great. Yeah, like, I don't know.
I just hope California stays strong and it continues to be a safeguard, I guess, against fascism in this nation. But if it really takes a turn for the worse and it's looking... I'm dipping. Like, I don't know what else to do. It
is confirmed now that Charlie Kirk has died. Oh. And it shows you, and again, we don't know who shot him, what the motivation was. It could be someone who is from the left and doesn't like the propaganda spreading that Charlie Kirk does, especially with younger populations. Or it could be someone on the right who is unhappy that Charlie Kirk is trying to cover for Donald Trump, avoiding from releasing the Epstein files. There could be, it could be many reasons why. We don't know why. We don't know what the motivation is. The shooter is still at large, so that one is a big question mark. Obviously, violence is not the answer, but I also believe that we have come to a point where violence is, in many ways, how a lot of people feel that they can only
the only language
they can react.
Yeah, we speak.
And I don't see a way right now. As much as I want to be like, oh, hey, we'll come to a point where both sides, or the right, let's say, comes to a point where they say, oh, you're right. We're wrong to believe this. We followed a guy that was, a liar, a grifter, a thief, all these things, and we were wrong. I honestly look at either there's going to be a complete divide. Let's say, democracy wins out. We win the midterms. We get majority back in the House and the Senate. That pretty much makes Donald Trump a lame duck president the final 2 years of his presidency. And he doesn't try to say, I'm going to stay in rule for a third term. Let's say that happens. You have one side that is going to be completely upset and not satisfied, which is the right. You have the left side who's like, great, democracy does win out, and the courts held true, and voters held true, and we were actually able to withstand this overthrow by fascism and authoritarianism. But the other thing I think about is how much has to happen for one side to go, ooh, yep, we need a reset. And if I look historically, a lot of those times involve war. Who knows? Maybe there's a civil war that happens. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But when I look at Civil War, World War I, World War II, there is a great deal that traumatic, devastating toll that's been taken for one side to go, we lost, and another side to say, we're never going to do this again, and we have now learned our lesson, X times, whatever. And again, I don't want to say there's going to be civil war, but I also look at how realistically the temperature is pretty hot right now. Just what happened today and what, attempted assassinations of Donald Trump before or other people. They love to talk about their love for the Second Amendment, and here we are seeing people exercise it in a non, legal way. But it's only going to drive more people to go further polarized.
Yeah.
And they're going to say either this was a plot by the right, or this was a left person who was trying, was against Charlie Kirk and the trans narrative and all this stuff. But there's no way that I see anyone come in the middle and say, we got to, we have to come
This is
together.
the turning point when we finally work together.
Like, there are obviously people who are going to try to have a conversation to see, like, we cannot coexist if this continues to be this way. And they'll try to, like, be like, hey, here's a bridge. And, some people will be on that bridge and try to, like, walk across. But I also look at this and say, these are pretty extreme actions being taken by we don't know who. And now it's going to even more accelerate the polarization of the sides to say this or that, and they will never come together.
Yeah.
And it's going to distract from things like the Epstein files, which is something to remember and not forget about, because Donald Trump said that he was going to declassify the Epstein files. Charlie Kirk was someone who said release the Epstein files. If Donald Trump wins, he will release the Epstein files. Donald Trump gets in office, he does not release the Epstein files. He does this attempt with Kash Patel and J.D. Vance and Pam Bondi, and they release the Epstein files phase 1, except it's a binder full of documents that are already publicly available, and now at this point they've even redacted more stuff that you could find on Google. Then they just were like completely silent, saying we have completely satisfied this situation. Pam Bondi previously stated that she had the documents, she had the Epstein list, she had everything on her desk, and it was horrific and disgusting. They were like all these different things that she had. Then people start to ask, where are the files? You said you had the files, where are the files? Then they said, we gave you the files. And people are like, well, these aren't the files. So then you've had murmurs on both sides, the right and the left, saying we want the files. You promised you'd declassify the files. So then you've got people like Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna who have put forward a petition to vote on this to say that they want the full release, because the Oversight Committee for the House got the files, and those files were the same files that were given before. It was 3% were new, but it was like 33.
You've seen this, but have you seen this?
Exactly. 33,000 files already readily available. Again, some were redacted. There was 3% of the files that were new, but they weren't anything that was telling of like Epstein and his movement or actions or like victims. And, the right wants to say, oh, well, we can't release these things because it would harm victims. Well, this has already technically been adjudicated, right? We've gone through the court. Ghislaine Maxwell, who went from a high-security maximum prison to a low-security prison in Texas, which is sus on its own, after having a two-day interview with the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, who is the former attorney for Donald Trump. It's all connected. And even that was like, that's weird, that's sus, why did that happen? And now we're at the point where even today, as of this, Chuck Schumer is forcing a vote in the Senate compelling the DOJ to release the Epstein files. The move is significant because Senate Republicans have largely avoided voting on the issue of the Epstein files. And keep in mind, Mike Johnson said that they were going to go on recess to avoid the vote initially. So they went on recess, didn't even do it. And now Mike Johnson last week, they've even tried to say that Donald Trump was an FBI informant. And I don't know if you've watched anything that involves FBI informants, the mafia, the mob. It's someone that is involved in the action that they turn to say, all right, if you tell us everything, then you'll get immunity or whatever it is to talk against these other parties to turn them in. And again, MAGA thinks that him being an FBI informant means that he was not involved in anything, if they're attempting to go with that argument. And then in addition to that, they're also saying that, well, he was the one who's trying to lure Epstein in, but then he also kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. And I don't know many people, because the birthday book that Donald Trump said he did not draw a naked woman in, which looks like a little girl, or at least the body shape does, around the note that he wrote, he has continued to deny it. And it is, to me, I don't know an FBI informant that would do all of these things, that would be best friends for 15 plus years, would write in a book with this drawing and then sign it in the pubic area, and then talk about how he was a terrific guy and this and this and that. Like, you're telling me that Donald Trump was working as an FBI informant all those years?
Stockholm Syndrome, duh.
Right.
It's crazy.
He just fell in love with Epstein.
Mm-hmm. Anyone who believes this, like, this is, I just, like,
just
I
keep
know that
moving
we
the
say this all the
goalposts.
time. I'm like, I just, like, don't have any patience for anybody who voted for this anymore. I no.
I mean,
And
anyone...
if you still believe what he says, I don't know what to tell you.
No, because even when we have recordings of him saying things that they don't approve of, oh, well, you know, jumping through hoops to justify it. It's insanity, the delusion, the brainwash.
Charlie Kirk situation or anything, like, it is not going to bring the country together. It's going to further polarize it. And so the people who said, I voted for Trump, you know, because he said he was going to do some certain things, some of those people are, you know, being like, hey, what happened to the promises you made? But other people are going to then say, oh, well, it was fixed from the beginning, and it was because Obama or Clinton or Biden or, you know, James Comey or whoever it is. They're going to come up with reasons why Donald Trump couldn't release, or tried to release, or whatever it is, or he tried to follow through on the promises he made but couldn't because someone in the deep state, and it's always going to come back to that as the boogeyman that's over the shoulder, is the deep state caused this problem and the swamp needs to be drained, and there's mass corruption and evil in the government, and because of those things, Donald Trump is not able to do what he promised. So it's always going to be a new excuse, some reason, some straw to reach for, or some like goalpost to move, or whatever it is. And it's just, they'll never accept the reality of it, which is Donald Trump is a liar, a fraud, a cheater, a grifter, a thief, a philanderer. He will not tell you the truth because it doesn't. Well, he just won't tell you the truth, but he also won't help you unless it benefits him. And, you know, that's the reason why a lot of people think, like, oh, was that how Ghislaine Maxwell got moved? It's because as long as she doesn't say anything negative about Donald Trump, and she did that unprovoked in the recorded interview. So this whole thing, like, you're now at the point where Republicans straight up don't want to vote on it and don't want it to go through, and you've got a handful of Republicans, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Thomas Massey, and a couple others who are in favor of releasing the Epstein files. But you got a lot of people in the GOP who are trying to stop it.
I wonder why. So, yeah, things are looking really good for the American people. We're having a really good time. I don't think there's been any complaints at all today.
10 out of 10. Keep it the same.
Yeah, exactly. So now we've had this glowing review of the current political status of America. Let's move on to some glowing reviews that we have. On our grievance journal, someone said, fits my mood lately. Perfect for fall and for my inner goth. And I want to say I had such strong words I wanted to say to someone like 2 or 3 days ago, but I was like, this would be so mean, and I can't sit with this rage. And I genuinely sat down and I put every horrible thought I had into the grievance journal, and I was like, if anyone reads this, I am going to hell. But it felt really good. So get the grievance journal. It works. And then the comment I wanted to respond to, I won't read the whole thing because it's just kind of like stupid. But Caleb Duncan decided to comment probably on the video where I'm like, men should compliment each other. Like, we're not your pep squad. Like, just do it yourself. Mm-hmm. Well, men want real compliments, not fake validation like women tell each other. Or lies like, no, your ass doesn't look fat in those pants. Oh, yeah, you should totally break up with that man. That's perfect for you. First of all, no one's ever said that because no man has ever been perfect for a woman.
No friends.
The bar is so far
No
in
friends
hell.
are hyping their friends up to break up with their
decent
good
man.
boyfriend.
Because the bar is in hell. Anyway, you should be single like the rest of us. We can do ladies' weekends at Vegas, and I'll just get the same. Like, I don't even know what he's going on, but he's talking about how, like, well, we men, we want real compliments, and it's like, okay, well, give us something to compliment, because we're literally telling you, hey, encourage each other, work with each other, like, build camaraderie, build community. Like, you guys need that too.
Also,
and you're like, no, it's not good enough. It's not real.
I feel like them being like, well, we don't want superficial comments, like compliments. What kind of compliment do you give us? Like, if a man's like, on the street just like, whoa, nice ass. I'm like, that's a legitimate compliment. But me being like, oh my gosh, Ansley, I love your earrings.
No, that's superficial.
That's superficial. Like, what do you mean?
It's the male loneliness epidemic is imposed, and you guys can get out of it.
Have you complimented one of your bros lately?
I said, hey, I love you.
Aw. Hey, nice ass, bro.
Yeah. Oh, man, look at that tush. Really hitting those squats. No, I did recently text a couple friends, and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know that, like, I'm very grateful for, like, having you in my life.
It's not that hard. It's not rocket science. In fact, I spill my emotions out to everybody every single day. So, it's not hard.
But also, like, what is a real compliment that they're looking for? Like, what their definition?
They want something that hits home within them. Like, I see that you've really shown up today, and you put in effort, and your manly strength is noticed.
What is wrong with this? Like, oh, it's superficial to what? Compliment somebody's outfit? Like, you probably put thought into it. Maybe put some thought into the way you look.
Yeah, I don't know what compliments they want.
I don't know what the hell they want.
They don't want it.
I mean, your personality seems bad, so we're certainly not complimenting that.
And pretty illiterate, if I must say.
I mean, I've had friends of mine who are men who've been like, oh, new haircut? And I'm like, yeah. And like, looks good.
Yeah.
That is like quick, boom, 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 like that. It's
normal shit.
The last sentence is, man today want a real connection, a woman that's loyal. They're getting so hard to find. What? There's a literal Facebook group that is called Are We Dating the Same Guy? Where my personal friend has found out that guys she's been dating have just been cheating. So when you find a Facebook group called Has This Woman Horrifically Traumatized You and Ruined Your Sense of Trust and Security in a Relationship, then you can say we're getting hard to find. But Caleb, I think you're just like undateable and unlikable.
Yeah, I think your personality sucks.
And I don't think you should have men complimenting you. I think you should have men holding you accountable, because this sounds like you sit in an echo chamber of bullshit, circle jerking it back to the start. You must be exhausted.
The other thing I'd like to just add on, like all of that for sure. One thing I want to add on to that is some might say that your desire to receive compliments is actually an indicator of something inside you that is, I don't know. I don't want to say broken, but like
therapy.
I just want to say, like, if you're seeking validation in some way, you have clearly been kind of like grown or groomed that way, if you will. But if you're like, oh, I want real compliments, it's like, okay, well, first you got to give to receive, but second, like, that might be more telling about you as a person, right? Like, is that indicator of past relationships with your family, your parents, like growing up? Is that based on some traumatic event that you could discover through therapy to realize, oh my God, I've been so tough on myself because XYZ happened, and after that I just felt like I wasn't good enough, and I didn't know where to seek that attention or that love or that healthy relationship. Like, I don't know, it's a thing to put on other people for something that you want when you may or may not be the person also giving it to other people, and maybe that's not even the real reason why you want those things. There could be something underlying all of it, which is like, I don't want to say pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but pull yourself up by your bootstraps, bro.
Yeah, which basically goes back to the whole point of the video, which is that it's not our job to give you something that you constantly want to take away from us.
Yeah.
I'm not giving that to you. That being said, let's move on to our favorite part of the podcast, where we answer Delve Decks.
So for the listening peeps out there, we are doing the Delve Deck Venting Edition right now. And I'm going to go a little lighter today. What is the worst thing about 21st century living?
Where to start? Healthcare, rent, policies, rights being taken away, racism still abounding, gun violence every single day. I feel so anxious being in groups of people. Like, all of it sucks.
Our brains are not meant to experience what we've done with technology, which is information constantly at all times. Obviously, we post comedy videos on the internet, and I'm so thankful that people want to watch them. I don't think scrolling and having just content blasted in your face is good for our brains. I think people are more depressed than ever, anxious than ever, have worse attention spans, all of this. Like, obviously, there are serious mental health, like, things and diagnoses, but like I think that our brains are not meant to experience this, and I think that people need to learn how to take a little break. I think that it's an addiction. And I think that we're not treating it like social media and phone addiction with the severity that it needs to be treated, because it is, you are flooding your brain with an amount of dopamine that your brain is not meant to handle.
Instant gratification, and it connected with technology, but the ability that like we can get whatever we want when we want. And that can be good for certain things, again, double-edged sword. But I think a lot of the time, like, it has really taught us to say, well, I want it now, so I need it now. And then like, oh my God, I can't have it now. And it's like, whether it's like I want food on demand instead of going to the restaurant and picking it up, or sitting down to enjoy the experience there, which is like, again, creates this like isolation kind of experience. Or two-day Amazon Prime. I'm a victim of that. Being like, oh my God, I can get it because it's not available anywhere else. I can get it in a day or overnight or whatever. I'm like, oh, thank goodness for this. But at the same time, I'm like, it has conditioned me to say, and I also try to like be cognizant of this and talking to like customer service, be like, okay, it's not their fault. They didn't cause this problem of whatever it might be. And me being like, whatever I was supposed to receive or get, years ago, I would have totally been okay with like, yeah, a week to mail it in or 2 weeks to like receive it. Okay, that's just like a thing it is, and I plan for it. And now it's very much like, if I don't have this by 7 a.m. tomorrow morning.
I just get mad because like I tried to avoid using Amazon for a while just to see, and it was like I would go to personal like shops websites and they'd be like buy here, and it would link me back to Amazon. And so it's like there's just no way to avoid it.
Right.
I miss stores. I miss mall. I went to a mall that I didn't know I had a mall like 5 miles, not even 5 minutes away. I'm not telling.
Oh, sorry. I just want to know.
5 minutes away from me. It's a smaller mall, and it was like completely empty, like a dystopian. But all the stores were open, and I was like, "Where the are the people?"
Yeah.
This is from the original deck. Yeah. It's on the lighter end, second light. What is your favorite little luxury that you allow yourself?
My nails. When I do get my nails done, just getting like a pedicure or whatever, like that's a fun luxury. Or getting like nice perfumes. I'm all out of my favorite perfumes, and I have not been able to buy them again. So that will be my little luxury for myself.
Love that.
Chocolate milkshakes. I something about it. I just really enjoy going to a diner or like a spot that has milkshakes, and I don't do vanilla or strawberry or anything like that. I know you love strawberry milk. I know, but chocolate milk shakes are like my little like guilty pleasure that I like.
You're like, I'm an adult and I can get this.
And I would like, I could make them. I could get them anytime.
No, there's nothing like going.
But yes, going every once in a while, and I'm like, this is a nice little treat.
Yeah, I think my little luxury is definitely like fancy coffee. Like I love going to a coffee shop, and I know that's like the number one thing people are like, oh, you're wasting money. You could make that at home. Absolutely. And I do make coffee at home sometimes, and guess what? It's not as good. So I like it better.
The same as
I like it when somebody makes it for me. I like when there's a pretty little design on top. If I get, some sort of fancy thing, I like feeling like a bitch when I ask for a flat white. Okay. I don't know. I like having it made for me. I think it's nice. I love going to work in a coffee shop. Also, I love setting up and like having my little coffee and my little pastry and whatever. So I would do coffee shops are mine.
From the Joy Edition, Light Joy, which mundane task or chore do you find enjoyable?
Organizing like a bookshelf or organizing like a closet
color coding it.
Yeah, I don't do it like a ton, I guess, but I also love like scheduling things. I just like a little organization kind of.
You like a planner?
Yeah, I like a planner.
It's good to know.
I definitely agree with the lists. Lists, whether I get to it all or not, I like the aspect of being like, okay, kind of a little checkbox, and here's a thing, a little checkbox, here's a thing. Yesterday, specifically around this topic, I was very much in like my ADHD mode where I was like, all right, I got to do this one task and I got to go to this place and go get this thing. And then it evolved from I got to sand this plaster on a wall that I was building to then, you know what? I'm going to go to Home Depot and I'm going to go buy a broom so I can clean out the garage. And then it became like little things like that. These like mundane tasks are, I don't know if it's a coping mechanism for like all that's going on right now of just be like, I need my, yesterday was like a complete just like mental health break of like, I'm going to build this thing. I'm going to do something creative. I'm going to go to the store and buy this thing. I'm going to test this out. But it went from like one thing to another. And it really reminded me of, there's that Modern Family episode where he gets distracted and he's like, oh, I got to get this thing. And then he's like, oh, this is a little squeaky. Okay. And then he gets the tools to fill it. He's like, oh, well, now I'm here and I can see the light is flickering. I got to fix the light. So it's just like, you know, little things like that where it's like...
letting yourself follow the to-do list and make it as you go.
But like the mundane tasks, I would say, are fixing things in the house.
I like vacuuming.
Yeah.
Oh. Really love, especially in having a cat and carpet, and I guess technically 3 cats now, but when I vacuumed yesterday for the first time since bringing the stray cats in, and the vacuum was so full. And it's like my guilty pleasure. I like empty it after each room just to see how much I'm getting from each room. It's so satisfying. And I even took the little nozzles off and like did this. And so I had like a thin one like going across the lines and whatever. I was really in it. And I woke up at 7 and I was like, I'm deep cleaning this apartment. Yeah. And I did. And I feel really good, except then I found a flea on my cat. So now I feel like I have to deep clean again. OCD is really bad during bug season. It's so... Yeah. I found ants in my room. Season. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't have ants in my bedroom. And then I found a beetle in the trash. I'm like, okay, for my OCD, this is actually the worst thing that could ever happen to me. And I might have to leave my apartment early because I cannot.
I hate bugs.
I'm literally like... And it's like mentally hell. So I like vacuuming because it makes me feel in control. Anyway, if you want to play any of these fun games, the Joy Deck, the Venting Deck, or the original deck, you can find these at Boredwalk.com and have yourself some fun. Get ready for a dose of joy. We love you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out with us. Okay, goodbye.